Everyone, welcome to the RotoGrinders Morning Grind podcast. I'm your host, Stevietpfl. It's Monday. It's June 24th. It's 2024. We have a 9-game baseball slate to talk about here on today's podcast. As you can hear, I'm not over my head cold yet. I think it's gotten worse since Friday, but we're here. We're ready to talk some baseball, and I'm joined by my good buddy, Will Priester, ChiefJustice06. Chief, what's happening, my friend?
Nothing much, brother. Doing good. Glad to come on and talk with you. Let's crank out the best possible podcast that we can and get you some rest, my friend. I think the people understand we work hard here, and we can get your head on a pillow real soon. That might also do the body good.
Yeah, I got some sleep this weekend, man. I fell asleep like multiple times working on content this weekend. So it was like very like broken up sleep, but I slept more than I typically do on like a weekend of NASCAR. So like it was super interesting on that aspect, but got all the content out, which is always good. Had a good day in NASCAR. Thanks, Chad. I see a couple of you saying congrats. Always good to get a tournament takedown. So appreciate you all. And hopefully you all had a great weekend. I was super pumped about some of the bets that I had in the NASCAR race, and like it just they all got like messed up at the same time, and I was like, oh man. So glad I had a good DFS day. And we'll get the bets back next week. But ready to talk some baseball. 9 games. Oh, I was supposed to tell you. I forgot. I almost forgot. And Yeezy reminded me on Friday night, and Will's laughing. But just wanted to remind Will that Trevor Rogers against Seattle did his thing and scored 17 fantasy points. I said all I needed was 15. He got 17. Don't mess with my pick on Seattle routine, Will.
Listen, no problem. You know, I've had one of these calls this year also with someone that nobody wanted to play that day against Miami. So
yeah, listen, there's just like 3 or 4 teams that you can just take pictures against, and you feel really good when you take pictures against those teams, right? Seattle's one of those teams. Listen, all it was just poking the bear and having some fun.
For sure. Listen, Yeezy's a friend of the company, so he's allowed. He's
allowed. Yeah, exactly. So, all right, let's get into it. We got 9 games, a lot to talk about. Big Monday slate. We're like our like 6 or 7 Monday game slates, but we got a big slate here in 9 games. So, no more messing around. Toronto at Boston. We got Houch against Bassett, 8.5 total in this one. The Red Sox, a 142 favorite. Any interest here in Chris Bassett?
I don't think so, Stevie. I just think there's going to be one too many lefties for him to have to deal with today. And that's pretty much been his Achilles heel. If he was going to be loading up against bad righties at 8,700, I might be in. But I think he's going to see at least 5 or 6 lefties today. I think that's just one too many. And he just saw this team. So I mean, he gave up 7 hits in that game, Stevie. He only gave up 2 runs, and he's seeing them back to back. Like this, I will not be playing Chris Bassett.
Yeah, you already know how I feel about pitchers in back-to-back spots. This is a back-to-back spot that he just faced this team 6 days ago. So no interest for me in Chris Bassett today. Again, like Will was talking about, Bassett struggles with lefties. 17% Ks, 13% walks, 368 WOBA. They're going to load up on left-handed hitters against him here. So I'm going to pass on Chris Bassett. And I think I'm going to pass on my boy Tanner. Oh, man, I can't speak. Tanner Houch today. Again, facing Toronto, back-to-back starts. This is a low strikeout offense. Even some of the guys that they've called up, like Horwitz, he hasn't been really striking out. Barger is under 20% since getting called up. So, like, they call these guys up for AAA, and they're still not striking out. So, I think it's just one of those things where these 2 pitchers just face these 2 teams, and it's just a tough road. So I'm going to pass on Tanner Houch at 10-5 today.
Yeah, same here. One of the things about Tanner, he's been good this season, Stevie, but as you mentioned, back-to-back starts, a really low strikeout team, should be able to put the bat on the ball a few times. I'm with you, definitely. And the other thing is the price, too, Steve. 10-5 is a hefty price to pay in a back-to-back start against a low-K team, so he's definitely off my list.
My eyes are driving me crazy. I'm trying to find my eye drops and I don't see them. Let's go to Toronto bats here. We'll start with the Blue Jays. Varsho banged up right now. We'll have to see if he's going to be back in the lineup or not. It was like a back injury that kept him out of the lineup on Sunday. So we'll see if he's back. Horwitz still under 4K, hitting second at second base as well. So I don't mind Horwitz. I want to attack Houch with lefties. Like that's where I want to attack him if I'm going to attack any of these guys. It's just they just saw this guy, so I think it's a bonus. And then some of these young guys that just got called up get another matchup against him. So I don't mind, some cheap lefties here for the Blue Jays today.
Yeah, for sure. I'm with you. Don't hate the cheap Blue Jays, Stevie. I just don't get this team right though. Man. I mean, I think we talked about them last week. I can't remember what start it was. It was Chris Flexen. Oh my gosh. And Chris Flexen, lo and behold, goes out there and has an okay start, I think, against this team. Man, Stevie, this is ridiculous. Like I don't even understand how I don't get this team right. I feel like every time I take them against a bad pitcher, it's an epic failure. Even still, I agree with the lefties, but I'm going to temper my expectations.
Going to the Red Sox here, obviously we talked about it. Bassett really struggles with lefties. Duran is someone that I've really liked playing this year for Boston. Devers always a top end play. And then we're going to get a little bit of value here. Abreu should be back in the lineup here. He got activated over the weekend, sat on Sunday, but should be back in the lineup. And he's 4,300. I really like him in this spot as well. I don't mind Yoshida if he cracks the lineup at 3,200. But yeah, I mean, just taking some of these left-handed bats against Bassett, probably more of a mini stack than a full stack for me. But again, this game's in Boston, so I don't mind a mini stack of the Red Sox lefties here.
Look, I'm kind of into the full stack here against Bassett, Stevie. I've seen him just kind of have meltdowns from time to time against teams where he's really, dealing with massive left-handed bats. So I think I like Boston quite a bit today. There's still enough cheap pieces here to build around Devers. Dominic Smith still 2,900. I like Boston. I think I'm going to be a little higher on them than the field today, for what it's worth.
All right, we got Pittsburgh at Cincinnati, 9.5 total. Pick'em game. We got Faulkner against Spears. Any interest here in Bailey Falter?
Negative.
Yeah, gonna be a pass for me as well. No real interest. Any interest in Spears here going up against Pittsburgh?
No, not in Cincinnati, Stevie. I can't do it, man. I mean, this is another back-to-back start situation also. So I'm not doing it.
Yeah, just again, very unproven young pitcher. And it's really hard to get excited about playing him in Cincinnati. And it's not even the matchup. Pittsburgh's not this amazing offense. Typically if this game was in Pittsburgh, maybe, but I'm just going to pass. Let's talk bats. I think this is a great game to target bats. I really like the Pittsburgh bats in this one. I mean, everybody, right? I don't have a negative thing to really say about anybody here. I really like Reynolds and Cruz. I'd build around those two guys more than anything else, but it's a great ballpark upgrade, one of the best ballpark upgrades you can get if you're Pittsburgh. So very interested in the Pirates bats today.
Yeah, man, I'm with you, Stevie. Love the Pirates bats. One of the other things I'm excited about, this is slightly outside of the slate, but about the slate, we're getting to Cincinnati on the main slate. So much this season, they've been to 635. or the 640 game, and we don't even get that one. So getting that one to 710 is, I think, a pretty big deal. And so obviously it's about Pittsburgh, but just being able to play this game. So I love it. I love Reynolds. I don't hate O'Neal Cruz at 3,800. Hayes is, 3,800. Yasmani Grandal is just kind of having to play, Stevie. He's still so cheap. Now, will the production be there today? Maybe he's 2,800. I do think he's on cheap catcher alert for this stack today. So I really like this team against a young pitcher facing them back-to-back. Pittsburgh might be able to put up. We might hear their name again before this podcast is out. Really like this team today.
Cincinnati side of this game, I think Tyler Stevenson's one of the best spend-up catchers on the slate. He's only 4K. He's absolutely crushed left-handed pitching this season. We get Falter, who is a below-average strikeout pitcher. Spencer Steer is another guy that I absolutely love against lefties. Jonathan India, Fairchild. I like Ellie De La Cruz. When he struggles, it's typically like strikeout pitchers that can attack him. So he benefits in this matchup, but Cincinnati is one of my favorite 5-man stacks on this slate. I love the Reds today. They're a young offense, so they're not always going to get there for you, but they have a ton of ceiling. And like the Brewers, I love playing the Reds.
Yeah, man. Love them. I'm still shocked, Stevie, that Jonathan India is still 3,400. And I'm not saying he should be 5K. I'm saying maybe 38 to 4K, I think, should be his price, Stevie. So at this price, man, he's one of my favorite spins. We may hear his name again tonight also. Really like him. Freely Freed. I mean, any of these guys, Stevie, I just think if you're going to play the stack, and obviously Elliott 6,300 is their biggest bat, if you will. But this is a great spot for this team. Great hitting environment. Love the Reds today. Love Pittsburgh. Love this game. I think I'll see a few game stacks of this one, Stevie. But just because I think the hitting environment is going to be really good.
Easy in chat says, can Spears get us 15 to 16 points at 6.4? If this game was in Pittsburgh and it wasn't back-to-back starts, I'd say maybe roll the dice on him. But the fact that he just faced this team and now this is a huge ballpark downgrade going back to home for Carson Spears, I'm probably going to pass on Spears today. All right, moving on. We got Atlanta at St. Louis, 8.5 total in this game. Braves a 134 favorite. Schwallenbach against Lynn. Any interest here in Schwallenbach?
Oh, man, Stevie. At 7,400, I look over the landscape of this slate and I say, do I need Schwellenbach? And I think the answer is no. I'm not playing Schwellenbach today. I think there's a threshold on my pitching, and I don't think I'm going past a certain pitcher. And I think that's the right call today. So I'm not playing Schwellenbach. He gets the expletive for me.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of strikeouts. The Cardinals have been a lot better, over the last month and a half. They were one of the worst teams in the baseball the first month of the season, and, we picked on them a lot. They have been a lot better, but there's still a lot of strikeouts. I played him a lot last time out against Detroit. I have no issues taking some shots on him here today. Like, I like some of the Cardinals bats too, because he struggled with power lefties, and that is where he could run into a problem here. Because Donovan's been hitting the ball a lot better. Gorman's been crushing the baseball. Burleson's been hot.
Jeez.
Like these three lefties in the heart of this order have all been hitting the ball well. There's still strikeouts, but even Brandon Crawford, he's come back and he's hitting the ball well too. So, he's on the fence. He's like a fringe play. Like I worry about the left-handed power in this lineup, but I also like the potential for run support because Lance Lynn's on the other side of this game, and it might actually be time for Lance Lynn to hang up the cleats. He's really struggling. Even recently, his strikeouts have dipped. He's at 21.5% on the season. He's not generating any whiffs right now. I can't do it. You got to, even with Acuna out of this lineup and this lineup banged up, you still have to be able to attack this lineup. And Lance Lynn just can't attack this lineup. So no Lance Lynn for me today.
Yeah, same here, Stevie. Definitely not going to pick on my hometown Braves or my, I say hometown, my favorite team. They're in Atlanta. I'm in Charleston, but my closest major league team. Definitely not picking on them today. Yeah, and I'm with you, man. Like Lance Lynn is, if he doesn't change his pitch mix, Stevie, to like get more ground balls, he's done. So I'm with you, and go Braves. Chop on.
Chop on. Let's talk about these bats. On the road in St. Louis, it's summertime in St. Louis. Typically, we get good hitting conditions in St. Louis. They're a really, really frustrating team to stack right now, but give me the Braves. Give me, like I said, Lance Lynn. Just not missing any bats overall. Very interested in Atlanta today. I mean, they're somewhat expensive, but they're not as expensive as they have been with like Acuna and Harris in the lineup. Like, we're going to get a few cheap bats here. Kelnick, 3,400 should hit leadoff here for Atlanta. I mean, yeah, I like the Braves a lot today, and I'm sure you like your Atlanta Braves here.
Yeah, I love the Braves, man. I'm so glad you mentioned Kelenic because that's been one of the interesting things about kind of how this lineup is flipped, Stevie, with the injury, because Kelenic was definitely hitting at the bottom of this lineup for those of you who haven't been following. He was batting 8 or 9 hole, and now getting him further to the top has been good. Obviously, Ozuna 6K. He's earned every bit of that 6K, Stevie, and obviously we know Harris is out too. Braves have just seen some weird injuries, but, Matt Olson, 5K, don't care. Like, I still think, man, that the hitting will continue at some point. Why can't it be tonight? Ozzy Albies has been hitting well. Austin Riley is starting to come around, Stevie. And, of course, we saw Sean Murphy going to tear here a little while back and just really, crush the baseball. I think he had like a 2 home run game. And so hopefully, that'll get him going at the plate. And hopefully he can kind of keep that power going. All in all, I just think the Braves are a really good stack. Outside of a couple 5K guys, everybody's pretty reasonable. And you can make a lot of things work here with some of these 3K bats. So really love the Braves today against Lance Lynn.
Yeah, the announcers were talking about how Sean Murphy was working with Ozuna of all people in the cages, and like, yeah, it was the day that he went 4 for 4 with 2 home runs. So maybe he should work out with Acuna more often, right? Yeah. I mean, going to the St. Louis side here, like, it's those lefties that we talked about when we were talking about Schwallenbach here, like Burleson, Gorman, Donovan. I don't mind a mini stack of St. Louis. Again, we should get good hitting conditions. It's a young pitcher. The Braves, it's been a rough year for your Braves as far as injuries. But, yeah, I mean, I have no issues looking at some of these power lefties for St. Louis here.
Yeah, man, for sure. And, Steve, they're not expensive. Gorman's only 4,100. Burles is 39. Donovan's 37. A side note here, Stevie, Tommy Edman could be coming back within, a little while here. I think he was getting ready to go in. I think he was getting ready to go to single A or double A. I think it was single A. But listen, man, we get my boy Tommy Edman back, and Derek may have a friend in me with St. Louis. I always felt like he was semi the key to that offense at one point, hitting for both sides of the play. Tommy Edman's just a guy that I did like in that offense. Outside of that, though, even outside with Schwellenbach, I'm still okay with Goldie. If you're going to sprinkle him out, I'm still okay with Wynn. You talked about Brandon Crawford at 2,200. I think there's some interesting things to put together here, Stevie. So I really, really, really like St. Louis, especially those big lefties that you talked about. And throwing Brandon Crawford at 2,200 might be one of the better 2K plays on the slate today. Really like him.
All right, we go into the White Sox. The Dodgers and White Sox facing off in Chicago, 8 total in this game. The Dodgers a 146 favorite. We got Paxton and Crochet. We'll start here with Paxton. Excellent matchup going up against the White Sox, and they've allowed him to pitch deep again. Like, I don't know. They've opened up his pitch count again. There was a stretch there where they were very careful with his pitch count. I mean, he just absolutely dominated the Rockies in cores. What are we doing today with James Paxton, 7,700 against the White Sox?
I don't want to play James Paxton, Stevie. I fully understand it's the White Sox. Like, I get it. I know what he did in Colorado, Stevie, like with 8 Ks. but that's not who he is this season. I don't think I can trust it at 7,700. If I'm not going to play Schwellenbach, I'm definitely not playing Paxton. But that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't trust him at all. I don't trust him. I don't trust the coaching staff to give James Paxton 90 pitches. Like, I know they just did it last time out, but I mean, it wasn't a month ago where he was pitching phenomenal against the Mets and got yanked after the third inning. So, any kind of danger they've yanked him, I just don't see a lot of upside here with James Paxton. If you're playing 150, do you potentially leave him in your player pool? Sure. Like I understand why you would leave him in your player pool in like a 150 build. The guy I want to talk about in this game is Crochet. I mean, this guy's a strikeout machine. He gets a tough matchup here against the Dodgers, but I mean, I think he's one of the top tournament plays on this entire slate. Like, tough matchup. No one's going to play him because he's getting the Dodgers, but this guy has a 35% strikeout rate, and all the advanced metrics, like, back up. Like, this dude is one of the best strikeout pitchers in baseball this year. So I don't honestly care that much that he's facing the Dodgers. I have a lot of interest in Crochet today, under 10K, in this really tough matchup at hopefully some lower ownership.
Yeah, for sure. Stevie, I'm with you. And let me just say, let me pose this question. I guess a question and a statement in one. If I had to guess right now, Reagan's comes in as the highest owned expensive pitcher. Wouldn't we agree? I think we agree with that because he's facing Miami.
Yeah, Reagan's is the chalk. And he should be.
Yeah, absolutely. So we know Reagan's is chalk, and just by people seeing LAD, the Dodgers, facing Crochet, I don't think Crochet gets anything near Reagan's ownership. So, I mean, if we look at this slate and we think Reagan's comes in at, let's say 30%. See, it is a 9-game slate, so maybe it's not that high, but I think he's at least 30. Let's say he's at 30%. I got to assume Crochet is coming in around 8 to 10%. Like, I don't think it's anything more than that. And Stevie, I'm with you. At 9,700, I play him over Freddie Peralta any day right now. I definitely play him over Tanner Houck. Because of the strikeout upside, Stevie, he could give up 3 runs and still be pretty close to optimal. He gets 9 Ks here. So I like Reagan's, not Reagan's. I like Crochet. I'm with you. I know the Dodgers are potent, but Mookie Betts being out of this lineup definitely still changes this lineup, right? It's one less low K bat he has to deal with. That's a good bat. So, like, you can have low K bats that aren't good. And I'm not saying the Dodgers aren't a good team. I'm saying not having to deal with Mookie. I think it's a big deal today. Love Crochet. Think he can get 20 plus fantasy points in this spot a lot easier than people will assume.
Yeah, I mean, he is one of a few pitchers on this slate that can go for 30. So
yeah,
that's why I love his tournament upside here. Any interest in the Dodgers bats in this one?
I'm going to fade him today, Stevie. I usually always play the Dodgers. I'm going to trust that Crochet is going to get the job done here. So I'm going full fade on the Dodgers, which isn't usual, but 0 for me today.
Yeah, I don't typically fade the Dodgers either, but I'm with you. I might build like a hedge stack, like a full 5-man stack, if I do end up overweight on Crochet, and there's a good chance that I do. White Sox, like, man, I love picking on Paxton. I just don't know if I could do it with the White Sox. Like, Jimenez, he left the game early on Sunday with hamstring tightness, so like I highly doubt he plays.
Jeez, this team, man. Gosh.
Right, and like he had just come back from the IL, like he played
That's
Sunday
what I'm
after
saying.
missing, and had like hamstring soreness or something. So, and it was a hamstring injury. I'm pretty sure that kept him out. I like Tommy Pham hitting leadoff here against Paxton. I don't mind like a one-off Tommy Pham at 4,400. But outside of that, I mean, I could definitely play some like Luis Robert at 5K. But overall, I'm not going to go out of my way to stack White Sox here.
Yeah, I don't mind the Robert call, and I don't mind the Pham call. I mean, But I'm with you, man. Like I don't think we need to be forcing White Sox. There's enough offense on this slate. Like before I play the White Sox, who are still pretty cheap, Stevie, I'll be loading up on Boston, Pittsburgh. Like before I play the White Sox. Like to me, those cheap offenses are head and shoulders better than this spot, even against Paxton. Once again, I don't like Paxton today. I'm not playing Paxton today, but I'm also not, sold that the White Sox are going to help us win a tournament. So I'm out.
All right, I'm doing better. I can somewhat see out of my right eye now. My wife came in the office when we were doing the podcast and found my eye drop. So winning.
Fantastic.
Feel a little bit better. All right, we got Miami at Kansas City, a 9.5 total. The Royals a 240 favorite. Munoz against Reagans. Any interest here in Munoz?
No.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen some outings of like brilliance, but it was like Mets, Rockies. Tougher matchup here against Kansas City. Depending on the lineup, like you could always make an adjustment, but yeah, very interested in the Royals bats today. Love Cole Reagans today. He's the best pitcher on the slate. I know he's been struggling recently. Not overthinking this, Will. Just playing Cole Reagans against Miami.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the better get right spots here. And he's at home, Stevie. So I'm with you. Love Reagans today at 10-1. As we talked through briefly earlier, definitely think he's the chalk today, and he should be.
All right. Any interest in the Miami bats?
No.
Yeah, I have no interest in Miami. Kansas City, I like the Royals today. I think they're a low-owned stack. I think this is a good spot for them. They're not like necessarily overpriced outside of Witt, so very interested in the Royals today. They're going to be a team that I'm definitely stacking in my builds.
Yeah, absolutely. Love the Royals. Vinny P's on my list. Sal Pal's on my list. Salvador Perez, Bobby Witt's on the list. One of my favorite hitters from the Royals this season, Steve, has been Garcia. He's just been really good most of the season. So he makes the cut for me. Are they? I wonder how much they. Do you think they play Renfroe today?
I mean, it's a possibility, but
I don't know if they play him today.
Maybe not. They've been using Adam Frazier a lot in the outfield. Yeah. Playing the platoon.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm thinking about. Yeah, so I'm assuming Frazier gets the nod. That's kind of where I was headed. So I mean, at 2,600, he's another cheap bet you can add into this offense. All in all, bottom line, I like the Kansas City stack, including Adam Frazier on the cheap end because he does make a few extra things work, especially if you want to kind of play Reagans and the Royals, Stevie. Get a $26 hitter will help keep that salary down so you can get some other nice bats from other teams.
Texas at Milwaukee, 8 total in this game. The Brewers a 166 favorite. We got Lorenzen and Freddie Peralta facing off against each other. Any interest here in Michael Lorenzen?
Against Milwaukee, I love not playing Michael Lorenzen today.
Yeah, I mean, he just continues to struggle with strikeouts. He's at 17.5% on the season. Really struggling to get right-handed hitters and really struggling with like right-handed power bats just in general. So I think it's a tough matchup for him. Obviously it's a spot where we'll talk about like Hoskins and Adames and Contreras on the other side, but I'm going to pass 5 home runs in his last 3 starts, and 2 of those starts were the Mets and the Giants. So Freddie Peralta, other side. It was great to see Freddie Peralta come out and dominate a game against the Angels. Really liked him in his last start. It was like one of the few things that I got right on that slate. What are your thoughts here on Freddie Peralta?
Freddie Peralta, I think he's just okay, Stevie. Like I want to see a little bit more consistency, like game to game to game. And look, earlier this season, I mean, he was fine, and he had a couple rough starts at Detroit against Cincinnati. We talked about at the Angels. What I was glad to see, Steve, is he only gave up 3 hits. That was the main thing. Like, when you start seeing the hits come down, I can live with that. Texas hasn't been the same lineup, but I still think there are some guys that can get to him. At 9,500, I'm okay with it in tournaments. I don't think I get to him in 3-entry max or single entry. I think I've got to get to – I may have to get to about 10 to 15 lineups before I get him in there, and I'm okay with that. But so I like him. I don't love him, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think, again, like, I would prefer Crochet in this range, like if I was going to take the tournament upside. But the bottom half of the Texas lineup is definitely beatable. Duran, Kisner, Tavares, like they're all guys that are beatable. The top half is just really tough. And Wyatt Langford's starting to hit the ball, so good for him. I hope he hits like 20 more home runs and wins Rookie of the Year, like backdoor Rookie of the Year. So I cashed my Rookie of the Year bets from earlier this year. So
boom.
Texas bats against Peralta. Anybody that you like here for Texas?
Listen, if there's anybody I'm going to play, man, that scores Seager, maybe that's probably about it. And I know Seager, like, he got hot, Steve, and then he, kind of got nicked up again. But I mean, and I saw something in the chat where Gator Nation said the Royals bats have been dead. And you said, well, why are we talking about the Royals with Texas? Because you never know when things are going to turn. It's kind of the same situation with Seager. He's a really good hitter. And there's one guy I'm going to take against Peralta, is definitely him. So he would be my main bet. All in all, not stacking Texas, but I'm perfectly fine rolling Corey Seager out.
Yeah, I mean, I think you keep playing Wyatt Langford too. Home run power, stolen base upside. Everyone knows my thoughts on the Gator. Just a phenomenal hitter, and I think he's very talented. So I like the Brewers today. Will, obviously, like Adames and Contreras, I talked about it. Lorenzen kind of reverse splitsy. Hoskins 4,100. I think he has really good home run upside in this matchup. Lorenzen's been struggling with home runs to righties, so I like Milwaukee. I don't know if I full stack them, but they're definitely on my list for like mini stacks and home run one-offs. Those would be my 3 favorites. And then if I do end up like fully stacking them, Yelich, Turang, Ortiz, and then whoever kind of cracks the lineup between like Bowers, Frelick, and those guys. But yeah, very interested in the Milwaukee righty power bats here.
Yeah, well, might as well throw Gary to go to there at 3,800, Stevie.
I don't think he plays today.
Yeah, I know. I was really just kidding. Obviously, Contreras has got this thing locked up. I'm with you on Hoskins. Love Hoskins at 4,100. And then listen, man. I want Yelich. Like Yelich has been producing. Don't get me wrong. Man, I mean, he went through a stretch, Steve, where he was just stealing bases galore. I wish he would just kind of steal one a little bit more often, but I'm okay with him at 5,800. Like when I'm stacking Milwaukee, obviously we're not doing it without him.
All right, moving on. We got Oakland at LA taking on the Angels. This game has an 8.5 total. The Angels a slight 122 favorite. We got Canning and Medina facing off against each other. Any interest here in Luis Medina?
I can't, man. I know it's the Angels, Stevie. I just don't really trust this guy. And look, he'll have some sporadic starts. Like, yeah, I know he had a nice start against the Braves. He had an okay start against Kansas City. And obviously, if you told me right now, Stevie, yeah, Medina's going to get you 15 points, I'd be in. But I don't trust him, man. I mean, I just don't think he's great right now. He's not great right now, so I'm not playing him.
I mean, he's 5,500. You already know my thoughts. I have interest. Like, I think he's someone that can get us 15. We've always obviously talked about some of these big, stacks that we like. I don't trust him either, Will. Like, I agree with you 100%. He's a 14% K rate guy. He's not a guy you trust. Like, you don't feel good about it. This is the late game. This is when we'll be recording the podcast tomorrow night. I'll know how I feel about him as we're recording. But, I mean, again, like, paying down a pitcher, like getting a stud, getting a guy that gets you 15 with your stud, and then like loading up on bats is just a really good recipe this season. So I have interest in Medina, and honestly, I have some slight interest in Griffin Canning. I'd actually prefer Medina over Canning, which is so weird to say, but like Griffin Canning has been awful this year, but they let him go out and throw 90 plus pitches each start. He's 6,100. He's cheap too. He gets a good matchup against Oakland, which is a nice matchup, but man, he's been awful. You don't feel good about playing Griffin Canning because of how bad he's been, but this is just one of those spots where I think you could take some shots.
I can't do it, Stevie. Now once again, that's because my threshold at pitch, my threshold at pitcher today. I mean, I'm pretty much probably cutting myself off at Waldron today. I think that's what I'm doing. But also
playing him today. Like he's the chalk.
Well, no, I mean, I'm not playing anyone below him. Is what I'm saying. That's really what I'm saying. Like I don't think I'm loading up on Waldron. I think once again, Washington's still a fairly low strikeout team. But I think my approach today is, Steve, believe it or not, I think I'm going to try to get Reagans and Crochet and play 4 and 4 or get a mini stack of a really cheap offense like the St. Louis Bats, the Boston Bats, the Pittsburgh Bats, and I'll pay up elsewhere. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to feel great the whole way, but that's what I think I want to do today, because I feel like those two pitchers could be slate breakers, and if I can get 60 points from both of those guys, and the offenses come through, I think I'm good. So that's what I'm saying. Like I don't think I'm getting to the lower pitchers today. All that to say, I'm not playing Griffin Canning either.
It's so hard to get 60 points out of a pitcher like combo this year on DraftKings. It's just I mean, they've taken away the pitcher's advantages as far as like how wound tight these baseballs are and the grip of the baseballs and stuff, and it's just going to be even worse in the summer. So Oakland bats, any Oakland bats that you like here against Griffin Canning?
Listen, that's the thing, Stevie. Like I'm in on both of these teams today. I'm in on Oakland. Canning has had tons of struggles this season, and Oakland, I mean, Stevie, this whole team is roughly under 4K. So, pick your poison, not pick your poison. Take your pick, excuse me, in terms of, who you would like to play, and then just load up, Stevie. I don't hate, I don't hate Rooker. I don't hate Blade. G-Law, these guys, they've been fine. So I'm in on these Oakland bats today, Stevie. I just think they're cheap against a pitcher that's really been struggling. They're getting out of Oakland now. Going to the Angels ballpark isn't some monstrosity of an upgrade, Stevie, but it's better. And so I like them today.
Yeah, I mean, Tyler Soderstrom at 2,300 first base punt. Like he's been hitting 5th or 6th for this team. You could put him in there with like Roker and Langoliers and have like a 3-4-5 type of stack, 4-5-6 Blade. But yeah, I mean, I definitely don't mind it. Like again, I'm not all in on Griffin Canning. I just like the fact that he's cheap. But Oakland bats are cheap. They're a good secondary stack today. And honestly, I don't even necessarily hate looking at like the Angels bats as like a secondary stack. It's just you don't feel good about it because they're just not good. I'll have to see what the lineup looks like, but it's like you want to have some bats here against Medina because he's such a low strikeout pitcher. It's just maybe like a guy like Joe Adell who just has a massive amount of power, and you just play the power right here. Ward's a good hitter. Zach Neto is having a great year. It's really hard to get excited about playing Angels bats, how bad they've been. But you like the matchup against Medina.
For sure. I'm probably playing less Angels than Oakland today, but I still like them. I don't hate O'Hoppe, obviously. If you want to, if you want to get to him, I mean, Mr. power Pilar, Stevie. The power is starting to come down, but that's okay. You got Adele here at 3K. These bats are. This isn't a good team, but I don't mind squeezing them in. One of my favorites has been Willie Calhoun at 2,800. He's cheap. If you need some salary relief in the outfield, which I will need salary relief today, Stevie, Willie Calhoun is definitely a guy that I will consider.
All right, moving on. We got Washington at San Diego. This game is at 8 total. The Padres a 230 favorite. We got Waldron and Corbin going up against each other. Any interest in Patrick Corbin?
No.
Yeah, he's not been pitching terrible lately. That's the only nice thing that I got to say about Patrick Corbin. Waldron on the other side, I think your chalk pitching combo today is Waldron, Reagans. I think that is your cash game, very popular single entry type combo today. And I mean, it's really hard to argue like Matt Waldron today. He's been pitching great. I really don't have any negative things to say outside of ownership, and Washington's not a huge strikeout team, but I'm not going to sit here and try to talk anybody off of playing Waldron.
Yeah, and Waldron's at home too, Stevie. So I really like that. One of the later games of the night, obviously it'll be 6:40 their time when the game kicks off, but I still like him a ton. I think at 8,300, that's a reasonable price for a pitcher that's able to get you 20 plus with upside for 30. I don't think he gets 30 today, Stevie. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me, guys. Long weekend with coaching. But if he has really nice run prevention today, I think he gets 20 to 25 easy because he will have some strikeouts. And at 8,300, I'm fine with it.
Any interest in the Washington bats here?
Not particularly. I don't think I'll need Washington today. I've got enough cheaper offenses that I'm playing.
Yeah, no interest for me in Washington. Lot of interest in the Padres. Well, it'd be interesting to see if Fernando Tatis is back or not. He got hit by a pitch on Friday and has missed Saturday and Sunday, but we'll see if he's back.
Rosario got hit over the weekend too. Did you see that? Did you hear about that? He took a 99-mile-per-hour fastball to the head.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Yep, Ahmed Rosario. So that was, he also got hit, but just want to plug that in.
It hurts.
Yeah.
Fastballs in the 90s hurt anywhere. Fastballs in the 90s in the head could ruin a career. So hopefully he's okay. San Diego bats, like I said, really like Tatis if he's back, like Machado. Profar has been hitting lefties really well this season, so I like Profar. He should hit up towards the top of the order. It'd be interesting to see who else cracks the lineup today, but it's Patrick Corbin. Not afraid to play San Diego bats against Patrick Corbin today.
Yeah, not at all. Stevie, cheap catcher alert number 2. First one I mentioned was Yasmani Grandal at 2,800. Kyle Higashioka at 2,900. Cheap catcher alert number 2. Facing Corbin, Stevie, if he's ever going to hit another home run this season, feels like he could be against Mr. Corbin. Man, hit the ball pretty well when given the opportunity to play, Steven. He's looked really good. He's got some really nice games out of like his last 15 games. I mean, we're seeing double-digit fantasy points in some of these things. So really like him. Wanted to just kind of give him his kudos while he was there. Obviously, Machado, we talked about him. Man, can we get my boy Ha-Seong Kim at least in the top 5 today, Stevie? Now, he hasn't been great against lefties. I know the ISO's been down. But, man, we got to get him a little higher up here. You talked about Tatis. Profile's been pretty good all season. Don't mind him as well.
All right, we finish it out with the Cubs and the Giants. No total in this game. It'll be Justin Steele for the Cubs. And then I don't know what to expect as far as the Giants. Every time that Howard has been kind of listed as the starter, they've rolled out a different pitcher for the first few innings, and then he's come out of the bullpen and he has no leash whatsoever. So we're not touching the Giants situation for pitching today either way. But let's talk Justin Steele. Just faced this team in a windy Wrigley game. and now gets them in San Francisco. I hate pitchers in back-to-back spots. We talk about it a lot. But I have a hard time not having some interest here in Justin Steele. Good ballpark upgrade for pitching. And, I mean, he's a ground ball guy that's been generating more strikeouts recently, at least 7 strikeouts now in 3 of his last 5 starts. When Justin Steele's pitching well, he's one of the better pitchers in baseball. I really like Justin Steele today. I hate pitchers in back-to-back spots, but I think I'm going to roll the dice on Steele.
Stevie, man, can you get out of my head, please? I don't know how we had the same thoughts about this, but it is a back-to-back start. But I don't think all situations are created equal. And once again, I think this is something else we talked about earlier, Stevie. Him getting hurt at like the very end of spring training really kind of hurt his season to start. So he had to come back and then kind of try to work his way back in, to game time conditions, game time pitching. I think he's done that, Stevie. And I think we're starting to kind of see the fruits of the labor there of him trying to get back to being one of the, like you said, one of the better pitchers in baseball, which we all felt like I think he was going to be, and he is looking better. But the other thing, Stevie, is if he's right, he's probably a $9,500 pitcher. He's $8,500, and he's pitching a lot better. I think the price allows us to do it. Pairing that with the ballpark upgrade, really good spot for him. I think he could give up some runs, Stevie, but I'm willing to roll the dice. You talked about him being able to keep that ball in the ground. Even if he keeps on the ground and has tons of run prevention and only 5 strikeouts, if he doesn't give up any runs, limits to hits, limits to walks, he can still have a really nice outing here, especially if the Cubs win. So love the call on Steele. I know that kind of breaks our rules, but I'm with you. He needs to be played today.
Yeah, maybe it's just my headache and how my head feels, but I'm going to roll the dice on Justin Steele today. Not touching the Giants pitching situation. I'm guessing you're the same way here.
No way, Jose.
Let's talk Cubs bats. Different slates I could see playing some Cubs bats. The thing is, I hate playing bullpen type games, and I think that's what we're going to get here from the Giants. We're going to get an opener, a reliever. Eventually, Spencer Howard's going to come in. They're not cheap. I think I'm just going to kind of leave them on the shelf today. Maybe target a home run with a Michael Busch or something, but I don't want to be overweight on the Cubs today.
Yeah, and I don't think, Stevie, if the Cubs beat me today, hey, I throw up my hand and say, good job, Cubs. But I just think on a 9-game slate where you got the Padres facing Corbin, you've got 2 below average pitchers, in the Angels with rough offenses, but rough pitching. You've got Boston. You've got Pittsburgh in Cincinnati. I just think there are too many other cheap teams that you can play versus playing the Cubs in San Francisco. So I'm with you. I'm not playing the Cubs. I'm also not playing San Francisco for what it's worth.
Yeah, I'm not playing them either. All right. The only guy I will say, for San Francisco, Soler against a lefty. I just don't think I want to do it with Justin Steele. But Soler against a lefty is where I would, if I was going to play anybody, it'd be him. All right. Morning grind game, so I can get this headset off and this hat off because my head is wanting to explode. But let's play the morning grind game. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us. I know I sound weird, but I'm trying. I'm powering through. Under 8K to get 6 or more strikeouts. Who do you got here today?
No one, but if you're making me choose, I'm just going to go with Medina. But I hate it.
Yeah, I'll go Schwallenbach. I think he actually has some strikeout upside. Paxton, I think, has some strikeout upside if they let him go. Over 8K to score under 15. Who is your bust today?
Oh, man, Stevie. Most of these guys over 8K I do like, but I'm going with my boy Chris Bassett. I think he's facing too many lefties today, 8,700. I love him to go into 15 fantasy points here.
Yeah, I'm going to go to my boy Tanner Houck for Boston, 10-5. Even if he does score over 15, I don't know if he has the upside we're necessarily looking for on at 10-5. So I think it's a price point more than anything else for me. But I'm going to pass on Tanner Houck today. Over 4,000 to hit a home run. No cores on this slate, so we don't have to worry about cores. Who's going yard today?
Aha, I'm doing well tonight, Stevie. I think there's a lot of guys we can use. But in this game with Lance Lynn, man, I talked about a couple of guys. Give me Matt Olson, Stevie, in this one. Matt Olson.
Yeah, I like that. I'm going to go to my boy, Willie Adames. Again, Lorenzen's really struggled with like right-handed power bats. So give me Willie Adames to go yard today. Under 4K to get 2 hits. Who's a cheap bet that you like today?
So, Stevie, I talked about this. I mentioned a couple cheap bats. I said we may hear their names. Stevie, can I give the people 2 today? Can I give them 2? Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay. First one, Jonathan India, 3,400. Facing Bailey Falter. I think he's a little bit too cheap. Love him to get 2 hits. And then cheap catcher alert, Stevie. Kyle Higashioka at 2,900. Really like him today also.
Yeah, no issues with those. I'm going to go to Oakland and talk about Tyler Soderstrom at 2,300 here. First base, he's a guy that has a little bit of pop. Griffin Canning stinks. I'm just going to attack Griffin Canning here with some of these cheap Oakland bats. Stack to score 6 or more runs. Who's scoring some runs today?
I've been talking about it, Stevie, all these cheap bats. This may not feel good. Give me Boston. I think it's too many lefties against oh my gosh. He's against Bassett today. So yeah, there we go. Like Boston.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of good stacks today. I think I'm going to go to the Reds. I really like the Reds today.
I like it.
Give me Cincinnati to score 6 or more runs. Any player props or pick'em plays that you like on this slate?
Feels like I should have some, Stevie. I didn't hit the board in the middle of the pod like I've been doing because there's anything up on Prize Picks currently. If I had to guess right now, my assumption is, and I could be wrong, my assumption is Reagan's comes in at 7.5, around anywhere from -120 to -110. And I think I take the over there. And then I think Crochet comes in around 6.5 today. And I think I take the under. I think he gets the 1K bump because it's the Dodgers. And I think I take the over.
Yeah, Garrett Crochet is someone I'm waiting to see what his line comes out.
Yeah.
I like Carson Spears on Caesars under 5.5 strikeouts at -120. You get it on DraftKings at -135 if you don't have Caesars. So I still like the -135. I'm paying the juice here. Facing a team in back-to-back starts, getting a ballpark downgrade going into Cincinnati. I'm going to be under on the Carson Spears strikeouts. Any lines, run totals, anything jumping off to you on the other side of the betting market here?
Here we go, Stevie. Now we're talking. So, oh goodness. So, Stevie, I went to click back and the thing jumped to WNBA. I didn't need that. That's not what I want. I'm trying to get back to my screen. Maybe I hit the back button by accident because I wrote up some WNBA today. I think if people followed that, they definitely cashed it. So we got the Brady Schwellenbach -120 favorite, Stevie, on BetMGM. Definitely going in that direction. Love him. And then we've got an interesting one where we're getting Medina at +105. And Stevie, while I don't like Medina, I don't think Griffin Canning should be a -125 favorite here. I think he's getting way too much respect. Give me the A's at +105.
All right. Nothing really jumping off the page to me. I was hoping that Taj Bradley's strikeouts was going to come at like 5.5. It came out at 6.5, but nothing on the run line or anything like that jumping off to me. If anything, I would potentially take Cleveland money line against the Orioles at even money, but Baltimore is really tough. So I think I'll just wait and see if there's anything that jumps off throughout the day. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us. We'll be back tomorrow talking baseball. Good luck, and we'll see you then.